life, and the girl was Susan, and she was here and now, but she wasn't his wife any longer. Smiling, he shook his head. She was coming toward him. Fire-red gown held up by her breasts and nothing else, dark brooding eyes in an oval face, brown hair cut in a wedge, a full pouting mouth that gave an impression of a sullen, spoiled, defiant beauty. Black pearl earrings dangling at her ears. He had given her those earrings on their 10th wedding anniversary. 3 years later, they were divorced. Easy come, easy go.
"Hello, Matthew,"
she said. He wondered who she was going to be tonight, the witch or the waif. Susan had a marvelous way with the art of transmogrification. Ever since the divorce, you never knew who she was going to be next. He could not take his eyes off her. "You cut your hair," he said.
"You noticed,"
she said. He still couldn't tell whether to expect a mortar attack or a shower of rose petals.
"Are you still angry?"
she asked. "About what?" he said, warily. With Susan, you had to be very wary.
"Joanna's school."
Joanna was their 14-year-old daughter, whom Matthew saw only every other weekend and on alternate holidays because Susan had custody and his daughter lived with her. The last holiday he'd spent with Joanna had been Easter. Since then, he had seen her a total of 4 times. Today was the 8th of June, and he was supposed to have seen her this weekend, but since next weekend was Father's Day, he and Susan had agreed to switch weekends. They had similarly switched weekends when Mother's Day rolled around. The logistics of divorce, like generals planning pincer attacks, except the battlefield was a young girl growing into womanhood. In April, Susan had come up with her brilliant idea to send Joanna away to school next fall. Far away, Massachusetts. Their separation agreement gave her that right. Now she was asking him if he was still angry. He did not know whether or not he was still angry. Oddly, he was wondering if she was wearing panties under the red silk gown. Once, years ago, when they were much younger and actually happy together, she had startled him in church one morning by telling him she wasn't wearing any panties. This was when Matthew still went to church. He had thought at the time that the roof would fall in on them. Either that or a little red creature with horns and a forked tail would pop out from under Susan's Presbyterian skirts, grinning lewdly. She was looking at him, waiting for an answer. Was he still angry? He guessed not. Actually, it might be good for her, he said. Susan raised her eyebrows, surprised. Getting away from both of us, he said.
"That's what I was hoping,"
she said, and they both fell silent. 2 years since the divorce, and until this moment they could barely manage civil conversation. It was Joanna who bore the brunt of it. Away from them, she wouldn't be forced to take sides anymore. She was 14. It was time for her to heal. Maybe time for all of them to heal. Beyond the deck, the beach spread to the shoreline and a calm ocean. A full moon above laid a silvery path across the water. From somewhere below the deck, the scent of jasmine came wafting up onto the night. Some kids up the beach were playing guitars. Lakeshore Drive again, except that on the night they'd met, it was mandolins and mimosa.
"I knew you'd be here tonight," Susan said. "Muriel phoned and asked if it was okay to invite you. Did she tell you I'd be here?"
"No."
"Would you have come if you'd known?"
"Probably not," he said. "But now I'm glad I did." The tail was still with him. He had deliberately turned south on US 41, away from his condo. The last thing he wanted was to get cold-cocked in an apartment that had only one way in or out. He figured he'd find another bar, go in there, hope the tail would follow him in, see if he couldn't make the guy, play it from there. Maybe do like they did in the movies. Walk up to whoever it was, tell the guy, "Hey, you gonna stay with me all night? Why not sit down and have a drink?" Eddie Murphy did that once, didn't he? In that movie where he played a Detroit cop? Could see the lights of the car in the rearview mirror, following, steady.